Well, we're finally back over at Mike's for part 2. If you didn't see part 1, then go over and check that out. But in this video, we're going to be doing the best part, which is installing all the filters, pumps, is having the full Oase setup. So stay tuned and we'll go through what we're putting in and how we're doing it. So here we are. It's changed a bit since we were last here. He's had all the old sleepers ripped out because they were rotting. They're being replaced for block work and it's going to be rendered or cladded. And then it was always going to happen. The patio hadn't been laid very well, so he's having that all taken up and relaid. But back to the pond, it's looking lovely now. It's got all the feature wall at the back done. That's all cladded with the blading. The fish have actually been put in because if you remember, they were on a temporary paddling pool on the patio. So he wanted to get them out of there and back into the pond. He was seriously struggling with ammonia while they were in the paddling pool because obviously it's a small volume of water and there's quite a lot of fish in there. So his ammonia, he's got no ammonia now in the pond. He just had it when they were in the paddling pool, so that's great. And obviously the temperatures are cooling down now, so that'll be better. He's had these lovely porcelain slabs put on. Always remember with the porcelain slabs, they can have quite a sharp edge, which is a risk when your fish are coming up and feeding. So he's had these ball nose, which gives you a lovely smooth finish. No chance of your fish knocking themselves. He's set the temporary filter up on here for now. As you can see, it's keeping the water crystal clear. You can see the bottom drain down there, nice and clearly. So he's having a full Oase setup on this, and we will go through everything as we're setting it up and installing it. So on this pond, we'll be having the Oase ProfiClear Compact M. So that's got the bio chamber and the drum built into it. We've got the AquaOxy 2500. That's going to be running the drum, and then we've actually got another one of these that's going to be doing the bottom drain. We've got the Oase AquaSkim Gravity Skimmer. These are brilliant, lovely bit of kit. They're what I call a true skimmer as well. They'll bob up and down to the water height. So they're skimming just off the top. He's got 2 of the Oase lights in there, so we're going to be running them off the transformer, which they've actually already been installed in this corner and that corner over there. We've got the 9000 AquaMax Eco Premium. This will be running for the filter, and then the 7000 that'll be pulling through the skimmer. We've then also got the data cables, the connection cables for the lights, and we can control the drum and the pumps because he will be using the InScenio FM-Master Cloud, which means he can turn everything on and off when he wants to. He'll get all the data coming back on how often the drum's cleaning. We can turn the pumps up and down. And the beauty with it is as well, especially on a koi pond like this, is if he sets up an auto feeder or when he is feeding, he can just go on the app on his phone and he can turn the skimmer off. Or as I say, if you've got an auto feeder, you can set it so that the time the auto feeder goes off, it actually turns the pump off to the skimmer to make sure none of the food's been wasted going down the skimmer. Saves a few quid on koi food as well with the price of it nowadays. So it will all be singing, all dancing. He's having the full Oase setup. So we'll start getting this all installed. So this is a filter chamber. And just a quick note to everyone, because we have it a bit of a snag that we're going to have to rectify. But Mike went off the manual, which says to set the base 690 to 710 below the water level, which is fine. Obviously that's correct. But what's actually happened is he went smack in the middle. So he set it to 700, which in theory is correct. But where we're going to have a problem with that is that that's 700 to the top of the block. So that means that the pond would have to be absolutely brimmed with water to reach the 700. And I think we're going to be more like 20 to 30 mil down from there, which if we are, that's going to take us to more like 670, 680, which is too low for the drum to actually run. It'll run, but it's just going to start over cleaning and stuff. So we want to get it right and set it at the right correct height. So unfortunately, that's going to involve cracking out some of the concrete base. Well, it wasn't the nicest way to start the morning, to be perfectly honest. Had to get the big breaker out. We had the cutter out as well because we wanted to just cut around the edges just to make the line as clean and tidy, and we will fill it back in with concrete. We've taken it, it's about 60 mil lower than it needs to be now, so we can put a 30 mil concrete base in. So it's not ideal and it's not enjoyable, but it'll get it done. So at least we can get the drum to the right height now. Well, it's about 2 o'clock now, and as you can see, we haven't got very far. Originally, you can see from this print here, we had the drum sitting the other way round, but without me trying to explain it to you, I'll go over it at the end because it just confuse everyone. But with us trying to get the feed going in with the purge going across, and then we've got the skimmer line coming in and all the other piping, and the waste coming out of the drum, and then the waste coming out for when it does a clean, it was just ending up a nightmare. So hopefully as we go through it, you can see I'd cut out there where the valve was sticking out, but that was facing there, so then we couldn't get pipes past it. It was just a nightmare. So hopefully as I go through it, you'll see why we've spun it 90 degrees, and hopefully it'll all become clear why we've changed it round, and it will be a much better finish. It is key to get it all in position and work out where every pipe's going before you start plumbing up, because otherwise you could end up in trouble. A nice little idea for you as well here is the lights. They're actually situated in the corner, so the wires discreetly run up the sides, and then where they come out, they've actually chased into the wall, which means the cladding or render can just go straight over the top, and then them cables lead to the filter chamber. Nice way to conceal the lights. Right, with these lights, so on these going into the transformer, as I say, you can have up to 4 lights into one transformer. If you do want to use more lights, you can do your in and out and just daisy chain it to another transformer, so you can just keep increasing the amount of lights that you're using. When you're daisy chaining them, that will give you the option to control each light independently, so you will be able to go into the app and you'll be able to control the brightness of the lights. You can have them so they're changing to different colours. There's various options in there. On this system, we are putting it into the Oase FM-Master Cloud, and the reason for that is this transformer will actually plug into there, because even though there's lots of options in there, currently on the programming you can't put a timing device on. So by going into the FM-Master Cloud and plugging it into there, we can control the plug socket and put that on a timer, so obviously the customer can just have that coming on and going off when he likes, depending on the time of year and when it's light and when it's dark. A quick update on where we're at. We've got the electrical transformer in down there, and we've put the 2 lights into it, and I'm not going to lie, I do get jealous of watching these videos on YouTube and where people have got these huge filter chambers with loads of room to work, because through no fault of our own, ours just seem to get tighter and tighter with more piping and more piping. But we're fitting it in, and that's the main thing. Now, I'd mentioned previously why we had spun the filter round and said it was hard to describe it probably without confusing you, and this is why. We've just got multiple pipes running around here. You can see over this side we've managed to get the Oase pumping. That's the shut off, and that is pulling from the skimmer, which is this one down here. You can see we even had to cut this back on the rubber connection boot just so we could squeeze these in together, because it is all very tight. This is going to be our balance pipe that's going to go to the tank, and then obviously we've got our main purge, which then goes into black pipe, so it links up to the waste from the filter, and then you can see it just runs round and into the chamber. We've then left this cap on here, so if he does have any problems with the bottom drain, it can actually be rodded from here just by removing the cap. We do put the cap on just to make sure nothing can go down there, and to make sure that when he is purging, water doesn't fly out of the top of it, because that's not nice for anyone. And then we've just used a slide valve, because as I say, when we're purging, we don't need to close this off 100%. This might drip through occasionally once it gets a bit older, but that's not a problem. And then we use these lovely mounting brackets just to make sure the pipe is firmly secured, and that just runs straight round and into your drum filter. So that's the line that's going into the drum filter. The T-piece off there for that, and then the T-piece off there for the purge. We have used a ball valve on this one because where it needs to be situated, and with the waste going directly into it, we can't ever have the slide valve leaking, so we have used a ball valve. So I'm not averse to using them, it's just sometimes we are strapped for room, but we've managed to get this one in. And as I say, we've done this on the 45 angle, so we could actually fit it in and then make sure that this goes at a 90 degree. Even though it puts a couple of bends in there, it's much better, because I didn't want to do this at a 45 and run straight over top of this, because you do need to be able to get a good bit of pressure on there to turn them. We've then got, I've started saying it, we've got another return that's going back to the pond there. That will be coming from this corner and going through the ultraviolet light. We've got the one air line there, which will be going into a pump that will be situated there. And you can just see again, very tight, that's going onto the 1-inch pipe down there, which will go to his bottom drain. And we're running the filter and the bottom drain on 2 separate air pumps, because remember, one is going to be controlled from the FM-Master. So the bottom drain one, if he wants to turn it off, it's not a massive pond. You don't want air rumbling in your pond, and then you end up that you can't really see your fish. So what he's going to have the opportunity to do is just when he's out here, or he can put it on a timer, he can actually turn it off so that he can clearly see his fish in the pond. We've then got this lovely chamber where the waste, I've got to put a bit of pipe in there, that will come out into the waste. And as I say, we've already got the waste from the purge and the drum waste going into there. So the Oase pump, it's got leaves on over the weekend, is mounted down there. Once again, very tight to get it all in. We actually had to change on the pump. Remember, with the Oase pumps, the beauty of them is that you can take these 4 screws out of the back and you can actually change round which way this is facing for the inlet and outlet. So we could put the pump actually secured on the case. You can't really see the casing, I don't think, but oh, you can a bit. So yeah, it's just mounted just there. It's actually sitting in the case to make sure that it's all nice and secure, nice and firm. And then we are using ball valves on all of this. So this is coming up and going straight direct back to the pond, and then this will come up and it is going to go across to the blade there. He's also having the light in the blade, so I will run through everything as I'm getting it done. But for now, we're going to crack on with the piping because we've still got a lot to do and the weather has definitely been against us. We've now got our Oase gravity fed skimmer installed. Starting from the bottom down here, we'd left a piece of waste black pipe 110mm sticking out the wall. We then go into an angle. This thing goes into another piece of pipe, which we calculate the length that we need, and that simply pushes into the bottom of the gravity fed skimmer. When I say that we've calculated it, you want this to be finishing about 75mm down from finished water level. That's just to allow for fluctuation for this to actually bob up and down, depending on how much water you're drawing in. When this is bobbing up and down, that will only be taking the surface of the water, just meaning you're literally just skimming the very, very top of the water, which is ideal for a skimmer. That's the whole idea of it. It's very easy to clean. This comes off, and then you've got your basket inside. Chuck away leaves, any debris, pop that back on, and then put that back on there. Do make sure when you're installing them to get them level so that this can move up and down freely. Well, it's safe to say that this one has been a tricky one at times, but we've managed to get it all done. I'm really happy with the install, so we'll go over it and have a closer look in detail at what we've put in and how it works. Well, it's all a bit wet because we've had the final clean down. The floor, I've got to vac out, and then once the roof goes on, we'll probably come and self-level it just to tidy up the floor, because there's a few concrete snots and stuff. So we'll start from here. We've got the mains water pipe coming in. We've got a nice little stop tap there that goes on a flexible cable into our top-up box, which is on a ball cock valve there. And then I normally try and set this so that will stop after it goes up another 5mm. So we'll still have about between 5 to 10mm tolerance in the overflow just before that will start to overflow if the water does pass the level that we want it to. And then once again, very happy with using these. They are the concealed toilet cisterns, but they make a lovely job of it. We'll fit that lid back on in a second, but yeah, nice and compact. You can see just down the bottom there, that's the balance pipe that comes along underneath here. And then we've got an overflow here, which then is set on the angle, which runs all the way to the sump here, and that'll discharge. I did mention it previously, but as you know, we've put a waste purge there, and that's on a ball valve because we don't want the gate valves can leak after a while, so we put a ball valve on there. The slide valve as well, I don't like the chance that someone can accidentally shut that. So what we've actually done, it's just a bit of the 8mm air line, that is. I can get it off one-handed, and it's just cut down, so it just fits on there lovely. And then that means no matter what happens, no one can accidentally close that. We've then got our 2 air pumps This one is running to the drum, which runs along to here. And then this one, which is on the controls, is going to the pond, so we can turn that on and off as we wish. Everything is just running on these sockets, or is running off the FM-Master. So from the drum, we're coming out, we're running along to the Oase AquaMax Premium 9000. We were going to put a Vitronic UV in, but it was just working out a nightmare with where the pipes came on and off. So the way we've done this is it comes in at this end, it then goes out across here and down. It didn't need a ball valve there, but we've put one on just for good measure. And then we could have just put a union, because you do want something there in case you ever need to demount the UV. But what we did make sure as well, which is a key point, is that when you undo that, there is enough distance between that pipe and the UV head, so you can actually slide it out and change the bulb easily without having to dismount all the ultraviolet light. As you can see, it's a jumble of piping and cables down here. When you are using the data cables or the cable that comes off the drum, obviously you can't shorten these cables, so we just try and tuck them away and hide them the best that we can. We also, some things just work out perfectly sometimes. It wasn't planned, but we've got a hole in here, we put that clip on and it worked out perfectly, coming straight up from the pump, teeing off and then carrying on up, and then that goes up to the blade. And as mentioned, on the blade you can see we've got the light bar in here, which looks lovely when it's all illuminated at night. We've tried to keep everything as tidy as possible, so all the cables are tacked, everything's drilled through where it can go through. We then get to the FM-Master Cloud, which unfortunately I will show you this in a later video because Mike has not set up the Wi-Fi yet, so it's actually coming today. So, but I'll have run out of light by the time he'd get that set. But as you can see, we've got the data cable that comes out of here. It then loops down to the transformer, that then loops across and goes into the drum filter, and finally it loops into this pump. I am going to come back and do some more filming, and we're going to go over some of the products in more detail, such as the Oase cloud controls. But if there is anything you specifically want me to go over, or anything that I've missed that you want to know about in more detail, then just drop us a comment and we'll make sure that we do a video on it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.